I think Dick Durock was terrific as Swamp Thing. He brought exactly what the character needed, humanity. You were able to find the person inside the muck, which is what my series was always about. The man behind the muck.
Coming up in November will be my 40th anniversary in Hollywood, and probably have done over 750 television shows and films in that time, primarily as a stuntman. Probably most noted for Swamp Thing, the 2 features, and the series, amongst other things. I was a good kid, but you know, where I grew up, we spent all day out in the woods swinging from trees and pole vaulting the creek and you know, chasing each other and kick the can, and you know, nobody had TV or anything like that, so we're extremely active. And you know, we played tackle football and beat the heck out of each other, you know, in a nice way. So very active. It's funny, my brother-in-law played professional football with the Rams in Los Angeles. So when I came out here, I did have a place to stay. I was fortunate in that regard till the season was over. And he had a friend who was a video, they called him electronic cameraman at the time. His name was John Brazelin. And he invited me down to watch them shoot a Marcel Marceau show live, you know, when they were putting on video. And he said, "What are you going to do?" I said, "You know, I think I'd be a pretty good stuntman." He said, "I know a stuntman. Let me have him, you know, you get a hold of him." So I got a hold of him. We got together. He introduced me to a lady that ran the answering service for all the stuntmen in Hollywood. She introduced me to her ex-husband, who had a gym in Santa Monica where a lot of the stuntmen worked out. So I went down there, and after a couple of years, and it wasn't a school or anything, just I was lucky because of my size. I was unique in that regard. And, you know, I was agile. I could dunk a basketball with 2 hands, and after training in the gym, I could do standing backflips off the floor. So I had physical ability, for a guy my size. Took me into the wing. Paul Stater, the gentleman who ran the gym, also did all the stunt work at Fox for Irwin Allen. You know, Poseidon, Time Tunnel, Land of the Giants, all those things. But he got me, allowed me to get my Screen Actors Guild card by doubling Guy Williams on Lost in Space. I had a different look, and of course my size. And then they find out I could put a couple lines together. So they said, well, instead of hiring an actor and hiring a stuntman to double him, just let Dick do it, you know, some of the minor thug parts and blah, blah, blah. So that's how it evolved. And I guess I worked like a house painter by request. I mean, a lot of directors, hey, get me Dick to do this job. And there's times I worked 2 jobs in one day at Universal. Do a BJ and a Bear in the morning, and Rockford file, hey, is Dick available? Go do that in the afternoon. So a lot of people question how it's possible to rack up that many credits, but that's how it was. To me, the best stuntman that ever lived, a fellow named Davy Sharp, said never be afraid to walk away from one, because that's what makes you a professional. I mean, if you go do stuff you know you're not getting. I was raised in New Jersey. I didn't see a horse till I was 20 years old, you know, running 6 furlongs at Lincoln Downs. So I wasn't about to take leading a cavalry charge, you know, and look like an idiot. Or motorcycles or stuff like that. I mean, we had national champion motocross riders and racers, and you're not going to compete with those guys on. So you find your own niche in the business and you try to develop it. As I understand it, and again, I wouldn't swear to it, I understand it was offered to another stunt guy, because the thought was that all this guy would do was put on the rubber suit and do all the running and the fights and blah, 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 blah. And then they would do the close-up on the actor, who was Ray Wise, who played Alec Holland, the real Alec Holland before the accident. And that was it. In other words, all the full shots would be stunt guys and then cut to the actor with the makeup on to do the stuff. I think the first guy who was offered the job took one look at that suit and he said, wait a minute, Savannah, Georgia, in the middle of summer, 10, 12 hours a day, 6 days a week? No, I'll pass. I know I've got a good guy for you. Nice big tall guy, you know, he may do it, call him. Wes Craven called me down to his home in Venice at the time, and I knew I'd already had enough experience. You can't go from this to full shot back to this, to full shot back to this, and drive you nuts looking at something cut that way. And I knew that, but I didn't know, who knows? It's their money. They can do it whatever way they want to. And Wes, we sat down and he said, "What do you think?" I said, "Well, I think you're going to have a heck of a time putting this together." He says, "You got it." He said, "Be prepared to do the whole thing, and we'll still see if we can get the actor in." But we also knew with the makeup, something like this, you can put it on me, even though it's exactly the same. This is a piece of the old makeup. And you could put it on, say, your face, and the look would be entirely different. And it'd be so easily spotted that it doesn't work. So the producers insisted that we do it this way. He said, "What are we going to do?" So we did a makeup test with Ray, who's a great guy, by the way, still working, going strong. Did the same makeup on him, same makeup on me, side by side, totally different. Then they were finally convinced. You usually bring on a guy in a rubber suit, works for half an hour, okay, go take off the rubber suit. This is going to be, again, 10, 12 hours a day, 6 days a week that you work on location. And there's no material outside of cast iron that's going to, bear up to that kind of wear and tear, especially when you're doing a lot of fights, a lot of jumping around, blah, blah, blah. We had some problems. I had some input into it because I'm pretty outspoken. They had, on the original mask, for instance, they had lips that glued over my lips. But I'd known, wearing rubber appliances before, it's going to last about 10 minutes, but as soon as you start heating up, moisture gets in, everything comes loose, you're in the middle of a nice scene, and your rubber lips are flapping around, and your real lips are moving underneath. So it took a while to convince them, and then they wanted to put lightning bolt contact lenses in. I said, no. I said, God, you got to give this guy something he can act with. If you take that away, he's got nothing left to show. At least I didn't know how to do it. But we kind of compromised, and the first suit we ran into problems because, again, nobody knew. The second suit, designed by Carl Fullerton, Academy Award winner for Remo Williams, we had learned a lot from the first suit and where the problems were likely to be and the stress points and, what to cover and what not to cover. So ultimately, again, what we came to is, and this is the last one from the series, I had my own eyes, my own mouth, which I was able to express, because if everything else is covered up, you got nothing. You might as well be wearing a big lizard head or something. It's so hard wearing all this stuff that something that you feel inside that might look good looks silly, coming through all that stuff on your face, unless the directors are, you trust them to tell you, say, okay, Dick, bring it in a little bit or, let it out, whatever. I thought most of the series is well done, considering the budget we had and the time constraints. We had to cheat in a lot of ways. We had a great camera guys, Joe Mangine. Had the best, hardest working crew I've ever worked with. We'd have never gotten it done. I mean, these guys are a lot of local guys in Florida, but man, oh man, they worked. Whew. Imagine lugging 10Ks through a damn swamp, water's that deep. You got mangrove grove roots and snakes and leeches and, oh, geez. Sunglasses and autographs.
You're mad, Arcane. It's time you were stopped.
I'm not mad. I'm a genius, and I don't think you really want to stop me under the circumstances.
I have to give the producers credit. They never stinted on the casting. Carell was fine. Mark Lindsay Chapman, geez, great actor. Kevin Quigley. We had people like Tyne Daly as guests, and Roscoe Lee Brown and Peter Mark Richmond and a bunch of people from New York, stage actors. Give a lot of credit to casting people and the producers, because a lot of them would try to really go cheap, and none of these people came cheap, but it also reflected in the final product. So, and they knew that, if Tyne Daly's up here as an actress, I'm probably down here, and I'm not trying to be overly modest, but she's a heck of an actress, and they would make me look better, So that's probably a part of their thinking too. I'm proud of it. I really am. I'm proud of the effort that everybody put into it. Believe me, it was a team effort, or it would have never gotten done. I worked on shows with a lot more money that, you know, came out a lot less. So I'm really proud of everybody there.